Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. We've got some good news to talk about and some slightly bad news to talk about, but thankfully mainly good news that has happened over the last 12 to 24 hours. Let's see what we have in the stream today. Wow, that's a lot of people. So welcome everybody who is watching the stream, not chatting, and we'll try to get through all these people. Indiana, Sam, Caden, Weather Tracker, Pete, Kevin, Pez, let me go down a little further. We have Caleb, Brady, Jessica, Samuel Wilkinson, Blue, Evie, Edits, Proxy, Ponderosa, Lily, Weather Tracker. I think I got most of the people in here. The Mighty Thunderstorm as well. Legacy. Also, Legacy for being a member for 13 months. Greatly appreciated. And Parliament. I did miss a few, didn't I? Okay, there we go. Alrighty, let's go ahead and switch our scene on over to our main scene. Hopefully everything's good to go. It all looks good. So we are going to go ahead and dive right on into this. We're going to start off here with our National Hurricane Center outlook for this tropical storm, still tropical storm. Almost said hurricane. Tropical storm Francine currently has sustained wind speeds of 65 miles per hour and gusts upwards of 75 miles per hour. It is currently around the realms of a millibar of 987. We are expecting this storm to intensify quite quickly over the next 24 hours, as it should be very close to at least a high-end category 1, but possibly even a low-end category 2 hurricane peak. Tropical storm watches have been put out almost all the way to Jackson, Mississippi. We were talking about that in yesterday's live stream, how those watches would be issued. Some other bad news that I do have, unfortunately, like I mentioned yesterday, we did actually see storm surge warnings get extended all the way to the coastline of southeastern Mississippi. We did see tropical storm warnings get issued for far southwestern Alabama, and some storm surge watches are in place there as well. In that blue, you can see. You're not supposed to be able to see that blue. I will note that you're not supposed to be able to see the blue through this darker blue. It's not supposed to be that. A little bit of an error on Radar Omega, I suppose. But yeah, we also have tropical. This is what I find a little weird here. I don't know if there's a reasoning for this. I'm sure there is. They have tropical storm warnings in place for New Orleans, but New Orleans itself is surrounded by hurricane warnings. I'm pretty sure there's hurricane warning Oh, not yet. There's storm surge warnings, tropical storm warning to the west with a hurricane watch. We have a hurricane warning to the southwest in New Orleans, tropical storm warnings around that. So it seems like they've gone for like tropical storm warnings here with hurricane watches in place. So if they need to, they'll upgrade this area here to hurricane warnings. A lot of oh, there goes our satellite imagery. Looky there. Okay, it's back. Satellite went off. But yeah, if they need to, they will issue hurricane warnings. But for now, that is at tropical storm warnings. If we have any more eastward jog, that's what we've had over the last 24 hours. Is models have continued to push eastward, and the NHC, to correspond with that, has pushed their forecast and their cone of uncertainty more east as well. So we are looking at a more eastward landfall, which is both a good and a bad thing. The bad news with this is it might actually bring a little bit higher totals to New Orleans and some of the coastal areas here out towards like Grand Isle, Port Surfer than what was initially expected 24 hours ago. The good news is this Bay Area, I don't think they're going to upgrade the storm surge totals any longer because we've had that eastward shift. Like I said, the worst case scenario for storm surge would be if we had landfall here. That looks, at this point, that actually looks extremely unlikely. We are shifting more and more off to the southeast. It's still possible, but it's looking a lot more unlikely today than it was yesterday. We could still have that wobble west, though. Hurricanes, tropical storm systems as a whole, they wobble a lot. So anyone in this cone of uncertainty could very easily be under the gun for a landfalling Category 1 hurricane or low in Category 2 hurricane. So we'll definitely keep a very close eye on the forecast for sure. That's all your watches and warnings overlaid with your National Hurricane Center advisory. We will get a new one at 8, but it will be a partial advisory. I don't know about us staying live that long. Opening up all the different tabs here. We go ahead and disable that cone of uncertainty, as well as I forgot one more tab, believe it or not. I actually forgot another tab. We'll go and disable those watches and warnings so we can go ahead and discuss another important thing. That is the severe weather side of things. So for today, that is your flash flood outlook. That's your flash flood outlook. Today, we have a marginal risk for severe weather, specifically tornadoes across far extreme southeastern Louisiana. This will primarily be for the threat of a tornado or two into the overnight hours, where we can't rule out, like I said, a quick spin up tornado or two. Not that big of a tornado risk for today into tonight. Tomorrow, we have a much larger, as expected, marginal risk, big level 1 threat there with a slight risk level 2 threat for tornadoes for tomorrow. So there is the potential for several tornadoes, including the threat of a strong tornado or two being a possibility. Now, the strong tornado threat is definitely low. If we do see an upgrade, I think it will be a 10% tornado risk. I don't think we'll see a 10 sig, but I do think that we could see a strong tornado or two being a possibility for tomorrow, especially as we go into the evening hours and overnight hours. Probably not really overnight, but from like 6 p.m. to midnight looks to be a decent tornado threat. 6 p.m. Eastern all the way to midnight Eastern. That looks to be your primary tornado threat. Overnight, it does still stay present there, but it does begin to decrease after like the 2 a.m.-ish mark. I'll show you guys that on the on some of our model runs we have. Then day 3, we do have a very large marginal risk for tornadoes here. That goes all the way from I consider that really south central Tennessee, through a very large chunk of Alabama, eastern Mississippi, and into the panhandle of Florida as well. So we'll need to watch that whole area. I do think we'll see an upgrade to a 5% tor, probably generally in this area, maybe even a little bit more northwest than that. I do not think Thursday's tornado threat will be nearly as high as tomorrow. Tomorrow, at the moment, definitely looks to be a quite decent tornado threat. I do think we have the potential for a tornado outbreak across this yellow area here. Like I said, I think we will see also an orange area, level 3, introduced in this area. If we don't, then that would be great news. But with current guidance, I think we will see a level 3 introduced for probably either on New Orleans or just barely to the west to include New Orleans, all the way back up towards north of Gulfport, all the way towards near, if not just to the east of Pensacola, Florida. I think that area has the greatest chance for a tornado. Even if they don't introduce a 10% tornado risk, that's still going to be where your greatest tornado threat is, thanks to bands of supercells that will most likely move onshore from the Gulf of Mexico into Louisiana, into Mississippi, and into Alabama and Florida as well. Like I said, I think several tornadoes will be possible tomorrow, and maybe even a strong tornado or two. But I don't think we'll be seeing like a 10 sig. I think we could see a 10%, but a 10 sig, which is a significant tornado risk, I don't think we'll be seeing that. That tornado threat is really the main thing that has uptrended over the last 24 hours. That's almost the main thing that is uptrended over the last 24 hours. Your flash flooding threat today, not that much of a concern. I still could see some isolated flash flooding threats out here on the very coastal areas of southern Louisiana, maybe even into extreme southwestern Mississippi. Could see some isolated flash flooding events out there overnight. Tomorrow's your main risk for excessive rainfall. They have moved that moderate risk just slightly, I believe, to the southeast. So this is your main moderate risk now. I believe that went all the way up yesterday. I feel like that went all the way up towards like this area here in Alexandria. So you guys were fully dropped from that moderate risk. You could still see flash flooding, but the flash flooding threat is mainly going to remain out here in far eastern Louisiana, as well as a very large chunk of southern Mississippi. And this is a moderate risk for flooding, which puts this at a level 3 out of 4 for excessive rainfall. Day 3, we already have a slight risk for excessive rainfall. I don't think this will be upgraded to a moderate risk, but if it were to be upgraded for a moderate risk, it would probably be for this general area in here, right where that low pressure would track up to the northwest. However, I don't think they'll introduce that moderate risk at the moment. So we'll just monitor that. But tomorrow, definitely all day tomorrow seems to be a big threat for all hazards. Throughout the entire day tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of instances of tornadic activity, a couple tornado warnings, a couple tornadoes. We're going to see damaging wind gusts, potentially upwards of, depending on how strong Debbie gets, we could be looking at wind gusts potentially as far up as 100 miles per hour. I don't know exactly what the NHC says about that. Oh, well, shoot. I was being very conservative with my wording. Never mind. Maximum wind gust potentially upwards of 115 miles per hour. I think I said Debbie. I meant to say Francine there. That's Francine. I don't know why I said Debbie. There's been actually quite a few landfalling hurricanes this year. How many? Almost all of our hurricanes have made landfall. Let's see. We had Beryl. Okay, we had a tropical storm, the first one, our first named storm made landfall. Beryl made landfall as a hurricane. Debbie, Ernesto. Which storm didn't make landfall that was a hurricane? I'm trying to think of any. I can't think of a single one, because Debbie made landfall here on Florida. Then we had Beryl over here. Then we had Chris and Alberto over here. Then Ernesto made landfall over here. So I don't think we've had any tropical storms that have just gone out to sea, unless I just can't remember one. I'm trying to think if we've ever had a tropical storm out here in the main development region that didn't go out to sea, or that did rather. We could see this is currently at a 80% chance of forming in the next 7 days. So we could see, I think is it Gordon on the next risk? Or the next name, the next named storm. I think it's Gordon after Francine. So we could see that as well. The EPAC still could see a tropical storm head on into Baja California as well. Alrighty, back over to this. So you can see the SPC outlook. This is their tornado risk here for tomorrow. Like we talked about in yesterday's live stream, you can see the track from the NHC of where Francine, not Debbie, Francine is expected to track. And like I mentioned, it's going to be over and especially just to the east of where it makes landfall. That will be under that greatest tornado threat. The HRRR has a fantastic prediction here. Very nice presentation. That's what I was looking for. Really nice presentation of our tornado threat that may occur tomorrow. Really starts to ramp up after 2 p.m. And then the peak of our tornado threat will most likely begin about 6, 7 o'clock as those bands begin to make their way on the shorelines of southeastern Louisiana into especially Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. And then those bands weaken very rapidly after 2 a.m. After 2 a.m., your tropical tornado threat should decrease quite rapidly. And then it will begin to increase again after 2 p.m. Around 2, 3 p.m. on Thursday, your tornado threat's going to begin to increase quite quickly across these areas here. There's your marginal risk for day 3. I do think they could expand that a little bit more eastward. That just simply depends on where Francine will be on the timing of Thursday. But again, like I said, I don't think Thursday will be as big of a tornado threat. It's going to be more isolated, where a couple of these storms may be able to produce a tornado, but the majority of them will not be able to. Whereas for tomorrow, that tornado threat is fairly high. You can see your centralized. This is the HRRR. HRRR has this thing making landfall just barely southwest of New Orleans. I said Louisiana. It is Louisiana, New Orleans there. I just can't speak today. New Orleans, Louisiana is how you say it. So we'll see if the HRRR is right with that. The good news is it would be more, the tornado threat would actually be offshore for a good chunk of the time frame there. So your main tornado threat would be to the northeast of landfall here. And that would be primarily offshore on this particular model run. So that would be good news. That would be good news because your main tornado threat would actually start offshore of Louisiana, but then unfortunately move onshore. Whereas if we have landfall here, your tornado threat would start offshore in this area and then move completely onshore. So we'll just continue to monitor exactly where this may make landfall. That's going to be a very big play in our tornado threat. So we'll definitely want to keep a close eye on our cam models as well for that tornado threat. Not for the intensity of eventual Hurricane Francine, but for where that tornado threat's really going to start. You can see the NAM model, NAM 3K, has that tornado threat starting just off to the southwest of New Orleans and then progressing all the way through the rest of southeastern Louisiana into all of southeastern Mississippi, and then even into Alabama, and barely gets to Florida. It barely gets to Florida. That's because this is a little bit slower. It's a little bit slower of a solution than the HRRR. The HRRR has the tornado threat getting to about this area around 2 a.m. And at this point on the NAM, it takes till 6 a.m. It takes till 6 a.m. So we'll need to just keep a very, very close eye on both the NAM 3K and the HRRR, see if they flip around. Eventually, they will become into agreement with one another, and that will help clear our tornado threat uncertainty there. But regardless, this whole area is under the gun for tornadoes. I just think especially New Orleans, pointing eastward all the way to Pensacola, that's going to be your main area. I was quickly taking a look here at some ingredients. Okay. All right, let's go back over to, I'm going to pull up all of the NHC products here. I already went over the flooding. I'm going to pull up all of our watches and warnings. There you go. There we go. So let me go ahead and flop this here. So this is a current look at your reflectivity of what is currently Tropical Storm Francine. I feel like this is, okay. Am I looking one tilt up or something? Okay, this is correct. You can see a pinhole eye that is attempted to develop. It really tried to stay well-defined there, but eventually the dry air hit it. So we have this massive massive area of dry air infiltration on the entirety of the northwestern side of Tropical Storm Francine here. And that's what's kept this from becoming a hurricane. I did think that this was going to become a hurricane right about 2 to 5 p.m. today. Turns out it still is not a hurricane thanks to that dry air infiltration that will be very much present if we go to your satellite imagery here. I like the other satellite better. The other satellite, please. There you go. So yeah, you can see a lot of dry air there infiltrating the entire southwest and southern quadrant of Francine here. That is separating your southern blob too. So this is what, if you guys remember the dry air from yesterday, we looked at in yesterday's live stream. This is a separate part of Francine that actually just completely separated from Francine's core altogether thanks to dry air. And it looks like that's what Francine's trying to do with this blob too. So your main core of Francine's currently located here. And we'll see if this just deattaches or if that stays with it. Just a lot of dry air impacting the system, and that's really, really, really hurting it. That is really hurting the overall strengthening process here. They now have it becoming a hurricane at 2 a.m. Eastern time. Earlier today, they did have it at 8 p.m. Eastern for a hurricane, so they pushed that back more. And I wouldn't be too surprised if they push it back even further, but at some point, we're going to have intensification. The most favorable environment is from about here to here. So it's going to be moving into that most favorable environment here over the next 6-ish hours. So we'll need to keep a very close eye on this for sure, especially after midnight. After midnight's going to be when that intensification phase should really get going. If I show you guys, don't know if it's going to be as visible on this. Let's go to the continental U.S. Upper level water vapor imagery. So here's all your dry air still. You can see the dry air has pushed more northward, or that's what it appears like because of this more moist atmosphere thanks to hurricane or tropical storm Francine, soon to be hurricane Francine. We still have dry air and wind shear that is moving across the southern tier of the United States like this, just around the realms of that. And just before landfall, right around this realm here, is when Francine's going to enter that less favorable environment for development. So development should halt just before landfall. If not, we may have a little bit of weakening prior to landfall, just literally a couple, maybe even 3 hours before landfall. There is a window of weakening where we could see this potentially drop towards more of a mid-tier Cat 1 as opposed to a high-end Cat 1. So we'll also need to take that into account as well. The bad news with the dry air here, whilst that won't allow for, rapid intensification or the system to intensify all the way to Cat 3, that is going to allow for it to take on more of a extra tropical look to it, which in return could increase that tornado threat even further. You'll see, you don't have this very well-defined rain band core across the entirety of your low pressure, so that allows for dry air to still be an issue, which means intensification is going to be halted at this point, which this happens, as early as according to the HRRR, which we don't use that often for intensity, but the HRRR has it at 2 p.m. tomorrow, where that dry air continues to infiltrate the main core of Francine, and that allows for it to take on more of an extra tropical look to it, which could increase that tornado threat further. Just simply because these storms are going to be more semi-discrete. If you have a full buzzsaw hurricane, it has precipitation around the entire core, and that northeast side has the greatest tornado threat, of course, but it's more of very embedded, very, very embedded supercells. This looks to be more of semi-discrete to discrete supercells or training discrete supercells, thanks to the more messy, sloppy core structure of Francine. And we'll see if that actually happens by the time we go around to landfall here. I do want to go ahead and 100 miles per hour, Pez, is category 2. Well, technically 96 miles per hour. I do want to go ahead and look at our hurricane models, which I'll have to admit haven't looked at them today. I've been very busy, which is why it may seem like I'm a little all over the place, especially with my words, calling it freaking Debbie. I have not had much time to look at model runs today, so we're about to see. We're about to see how wrong I am with forecasting here. I imagine most of our models will be on par, though, with what I'm saying. All right, so let's go over to the GFS. I really wish... I'm pretty sure they do have a dark mode here, don't they? Yes. Save my eyes at least a little bit here. So this is your GFS model run, which is, of course, a deterministic model. But you can see it does have a quite, not rapid, but quick intensification phase for Tropical Storm Francine. You can see it drops about 8 millibars in 12 hours, which is quite the amount of intensification. It's not rapid by definition, but it is, pretty quick there. And it makes landfall as, I believe this would be an upper echelon Cat 1, low end Cat 2, just to the east of that Bay area. So that would allow for somewhat less storm surge in the Bay region there in south central Louisiana. However, I don't even think... before we dive into this, let me go show you guys the NHC's products here. I know I showed some of it, but I want to use the NHC site. Here's your storm surge forecast. And you can see they still kept it at 5 to 10 feet. I do agree exactly with this now. They didn't upgrade it because, well, it simply shifted further east. Yesterday, it was looking like landfall here. Then this morning, according to what I saw with the NHC, it was looking here. And now this evening, it's looking right in this area, way further east. And even more newer model data is starting to shift it all the way to well east of that Bay area, southwest of New Orleans for landfall. So... this area still could see 5 to 10 foot storm surge, but I no longer think anything greater than 10 feet will be possible, as long as this tropical storm to eventual hurricane makes landfall east of that Bay area. But with its eastward shift, you'll notice, Florida is now included in some storm surge. We talked about that yesterday, where I was thinking about them increasing storm surge totals in this area here. I nailed that right on the money. 2 to 4 foot storm surge. They do have this at 1 to 2 foot storm surge, which is still, some marginal inundation there. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. But the majority of your storm surge will be between here as well as all the way just to the west of the Bay Area. That's going to be where most of your storm surge is going to end up flowing in, especially, you know what? I wouldn't be too shocked to see them upgrade this area to 5 to 10 feet. Because if we have landfall right where I just drew a little line here, that's going to help funnel storm surge in this little area, just like we were talking about with this region yesterday. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they upgrade this area, thanks to just the overall landscape of that. It's going to be able to increase storm surge in that little, I don't know what you call this. I don't think it's a bay. What is this called? It doesn't say it on Radar Omega. It's just a little indent in your landscape here. I'm pretty sure they have evacuation orders out for this whole area now. Mandatory evacuation orders out for this region as well. So that's good news, because that would be very deadly to be on the Seoul Islands out there. Where is that? Where is that weather tracker? Can you say the state, or is that out here? That took me all the way to Cali? Is that in Central America? Over here? Or Costa Rica, I should say. Which is Central America. I don't know where that is. There's a few areas with that name. I don't think it could be anywhere along the coastlines here of Louisiana and Mississippi, because we would have a very large couplet there. Yeah, nothing looks like a wedge or something out here off the coastline of the U.S. at least from what I've seen on these few radar sites along the coastline. All right, back over to the NHC. We went over that storm surge. There's your rainfall total. So like we talked about yesterday, we are looking at the potential of upwards of, they've actually increased that to up to a foot of rainfall there across the Bay Area. That may be pushed a little bit more east depending on exactly where rainfall will be. And like I said, if we see a moderate risk on the day 3 outlook for rainfall, it's going to be somewhere in central, or rather southwestern Tennessee into central northeastern Mississippi, wherever they have greatest confidence of that flooding being. But at the moment, I don't think we'll see a moderate risk. Normally, when we see a moderate risk for flash flooding, that's talking about 6+ inches of rainfall, which you can see in the majority of our moderate risk. We are looking at anywhere between 4 all the way to a foot. Most of that area is 8 inches to a foot of rainfall. So definitely going to keep an eye on that flash flooding potential, and that is going to be significant. The flooding will be significant, especially if we get that much rainfall in the span of just 12 hours. And there's your moderate risk to correspond with that. There's your wind speeds, your current tropical storm force wind speeds, low pressures generally right about here. And you can see that tropical storm force wind speeds in the orange. You have those hurricane watches out in the pink with those tropical storm warnings in the blue. And then those do go on into hurricane warnings at the red as well. All right, let's go back to our models now. I'm going to check on that system off the coastline of the Carolinas on the newest GFS model run. That is not uptrended much. That's still 1,006 millibar, monitoring the potential for a spin-up tropical depression along the coastal areas of the Carolinas. The European model has a tropical storm forming right around the 16th, 17th of... Oh, sweet, I can show you guys. 16th, 17th of September, so we will monitor that. CPC has highlighted a chance for a tropical storm to develop there. They've given it a very low wind probability at this point, but we will keep an eye on that. Regardless of if it does develop, we'll probably be looking at a flash flooding threat for the Carolinas. The CPC has already introduced a heavy flood risk, I believe, from the... It was right around from... I'll just look at it. I will just look at it instead of guessing at the time frame. 18th to the 21st. There's a slight risk for heavy precipitation along the coastal areas of the Carolinas. And they've actually introduced a risk of high winds as well from the 18th to the 21st. That is interesting. Who knows? Maybe I'll be heading out to freaking Charleston, North Carolina. Wilmington, North Carolina. Hopefully not, but if there is a tropical storm, I might consider chasing it like we did with Debbie. Back over to our model runs. Here's your European model run. We'll switch this to the southeast again. South Central will be better, actually. That's just barely stronger. Just barely stronger than the GFS. 979 landfall. This has a 978 to 979 landfall. So really not much of a difference there. I'd say those are really equal on the intensity between the European and the GFS. The CMC, which I haven't looked at. Wow. CMC has that dry air continuing, and it just makes landfall as... that would probably... To be real with you, that'd be a tropical storm, most likely. That would probably be a tropical storm landfall there on the CMC model. And Icon has a... Ooh, Icon is slightly stronger. Now, that would probably be very borderline Category 2 hurricane there on the Icon model. 976, 975 millibar on approach to Louisiana. Some hurricane models for you. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick for Francine. Very aggressive. Freaking near major hurricane status. I would not expect a major hurricane. We would have to have a rapid intensification phase for that to occur. We'd legit That's your worst case scenario, and I don't think that's I really personally don't even think that's a possibility. I guess it's always a possibility with the Gulf of Mexico, especially when you're literally at September 10th, dead peak of hurricane season, but I personally don't see that happening anymore. I don't see that happening anymore. The HMON is a bit better here. That shows a Category 2 hurricane making landfall. So that's definitely better than the H Wharf. I like the HMON better. I think that's much more of a realistic scenario, if not slightly weaker than that. I think we're going to have landfall right around, if I had to say miles per hour, I'd say exactly what the NHC is talking about right now, 90 miles per hour. I think that's the most likely scenario. Maybe 85, but 90 miles per hour for landfall, that seems very realistic at the moment. HAFSA real quick has same as what the HMON has. HAFSB. Oh, new model rendering in now. But your 12Z had it slightly weaker than the HMON at 974 millibar. I do think that's a bit better. I do think that is a bit better in terms of what I think, say, more realistic scenario. Now, don't take this seriously for intensity here, but I do want to look at the HRRR just for the fun of it. It is a realistic scenario, honestly. It is very realistic. It doesn't do anything crazy. I think that is a probable outcome for Francine. Now, Lord have mercy. Forgive me right now. I'm going to look at the NAM 3K. Wow. You know it's downtrending with when the NAM 3K doesn't even have a major hurricane anymore. Wow. That's shocking. The H Wharf. The H Wharf is more aggressive than the NAM 3K. That is shocking right there. For those of you who don't know, the NAM 3K is a convective allowing model. It is garbage with pretty much everything, but especially tropical systems and tropical storms and, you know, tropical systems as a whole. So the fact that it doesn't have like a Cat 4 or something, most of the time it has a Cat 4, Cat 5. That's honestly shocking. I'm very surprised about that. Even the 12Z didn't have it as bad. I can't believe a hurricane model was more aggressive than the freaking NAM 3K. That is something. But don't take that in, you know, don't take that seriously in terms of the NAM 3K. I really just want to toss this whole thing in the trash can, even though it may be a very real possible scenario. I still wouldn't be, taking it into account. You are not looking that bad at the moment, Francine. Look at that. I just caught that in the corner of my eye. That might just be, see if I can get an eye back or not. If this would definitely be a hurricane if it didn't have all this dry air intruding in it. I drew that a bit wrong. Right in here is where all your dry air is intruding inside the system. So the entire west side, southwest side, southern side, and now even into the eastern and southeastern side, it's all being slammed by dry air. But it is developing that core, like I said, as long as it has convection around that low pressure center, it's going to have that opportunity to intensify. But something is really going to have to change between now and 2 a.m. in order for this to become a hurricane. But that does look slightly more impressive, I will say. What else is there for us to look at? Recon 10, Recon 9, not that, Recon 9. I think Recon 10 is going to be the one that gets in here. Let's go ahead and see the location of our aircraft. It is going to be located, shocker, in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, it is approaching the northeast quadrant of Francine right now. That's that towering, the bubblers you see right there. See if I can match that with the true color imagery here. Um, it's hard to tell exactly where they are. We'll wait for it to zoom out more for us. Oh yeah, I'll use that site. I keep forgetting that that site's better for recon. I always use tropical tidbits. But Cyclonic Weather X is getting, or WX. This site's getting better and better. Mission 10, right? Yeah. Wait, what? What is that? What's that? I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna try to cover this up, but I don't know what this is. Someone who's studying meteorology. I mean, I have a college book, but I'm not actually studying in college. What's this? Because that looks really stinking cool and very freaking useful. Do we have a better look at that? I said it was this one, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is extremely useful. Is this going to update at all? It was last updated at 4:50 p.m. Eastern. Oh, look at that. We have other data from it too. Holy cow. There's a whole nother section to recon that I never heard about. Wait. Can I do this? Aw, dang it. This? What's the best kilometer to look at here? Probably 2. 2 or 3.5. Or what about 4? Yeah, it looks like 4 kilometer might be the best one to look at for data, at least. It started me at 2 kilometers, so I think that's what I'm going to keep it on. I wish I could zoom you guys in more. Oh, look at that. The whole page just changed like that. There you go. Now you're zoomed in some more, but you still can't really see it. Hopefully we get more data like that. That is stubbornly useful, especially if we could get like a full, like a full frame of it, as opposed to just the the east side. That would be extremely useful. Yeah, there's your data files right there. You can see the millibar. I'm going to use both of these. I'm going to use both Tropical Tidbits and Recon, or Tropical Tidbits and Cyclonic WX. Gracious. I just can't speak today. I apologize, y'all. Some days I have this. Just can't even get words out. Let's see here. I'm glad to see that dry air is still choking the system off, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to last too much longer. Just real quick, because we do have, some waiting time between what we're just looking at now and recon, I do want to mention, whilst it is a bit far out on the GFS, we are looking at the potential for significant severe weather to return to the United States in the form of second tornado season. Models have continued to uptrend on the potential for a negatively tilted trough ejection to enter the north central side of the United States. So if you are out here in the Central Plains, we will be monitoring the potential for a more substantial severe weather threat and tornado threat to potentially occur out here. If we go and look at our GEFS ensembles for this, this now supports a broad area of potential tornadic ingredients. This wasn't here a couple model runs ago, which is why I never mentioned it till now. And you could see that stays there over the course of 5 days or so. We have that kind of broad region all the way from North Dakota all the way to Texas for the potential of tornado ingredients. So I will be watching that whole area. You can see a trough here on the 12Z GFS. Now, this would result in very significant severe weather. I hope that that doesn't happen because that's the type of trough that brings tornado outbreaks and significant severe weather outbreaks to the U.S. Perfectly negatively tilted trough against the Rocky Mountains there. That would be very significant. Yeah, look at all that instability return too. So that would be a quite significant event if that were to play out. But thankfully, that's just the GFS being the GFS. You could see next model run, it completely downtrended. So I don't think that we'll have, at the moment at least, I don't think we'll have like a big outbreak or anything. But I do think more substantial severe weather will return to the U.S., where we could be looking at some significant hazards. And what I mean by that is wind and hail. Because once you get a trough like that in the United States, even if it is in, second season, most of the time that's going to cause at least some severe weather potential. And like I said, we do have ensembles picking up on that as well. You can see the GFS ensembles. Even the GFS ensemble here has a negatively tilted trough too. So definitely worth mentioning, definitely worth watching. Currently, I don't think it's like if this scenario right here what the 18Z is playing out, this wouldn't be some big outbreak or something major in the US, but it would be something worth covering on the channel to the point where we would do live coverage. And that's what we're going to monitor for. We're going to continue to watch the time frame between September 16th through the 19th, as well as watch for the potential of a tropical storm or tropical depression to form off the Carolinas near that same time frame. So we'll watch both those areas. At the moment, I don't think it would go into Chicago, but I would be watching it if you're anywhere in the central U.S., yeah. If you're anywhere in this area here, I would be watching it. Let me go back to the GFS here. GFS ensembles. Yeah, it doesn't go as far east as Chicago at the moment, but I would still watch it. So I do think this could be one of our more significant setups in a while. And we haven't had any significant setups in a while. So I'm not saying this is going to be like moderate or high. Nothing like that. But I do think that we could see some, your normal significant wind and hail. We'll have to wait till we get closer to depict that. For instance, let me just take a random sounding. I'll just take a kind of cherry-picked sounding here. So there you go. You do have a decent hodograph. This in particular, this would be a very marginal hail threat. Probably just a marginal hail threat, damaging wind threat, and isolated tornado threat there. Now, if we take one more on the southern side of that, I just want to see some of these soundings. That would be more of a tornado threat. But still really the same hazards. That wouldn't be much of a hail threat. So we're probably looking at least at the moment with these models, it looks like it's going to be probably primarily a wind threat and isolated tornado threat. That's if this scenario does play out. We have a long time to go, so I don't want to go too in-depth with this. If I do, then I'll start getting ahead of myself. I do want to cherry-pick this. Fully cherry-picked sounding here. See what the 12Z GFS has to offer. Well, I already spot multiple wrong things. Capped environment, too low of lapse rates, not the best veering, still some veering, but not the best veering. Wow, heck load of wind shear. That's the reason why you have so much wind shear, is because of how negative that trough is on this model run. That allows for a heck load more of wind shear, and maybe even a bit of an instability issue. I mean, that is 1,200, but that could be something. So we'll just watch it. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but like I said, I do think a more substantial threat is around the corner for severe weather. Because most of our severe weather in the last 3 months, the majority of it has been far up in this area, and it's been consistent of hail, some very large hail, isolated significant wind, and then a few tornadoes. And I do think this could be a little bit more widespread. Because if we have a trough like this, it'd be causing severe weather over a good chunk of the U.S., as opposed to just a tiny little area in North and South Dakota. So we'll watch that after. I mean, we're probably going to jump right on into it. I mean, we'll watch. Francine's going to make landfall here in Louisiana. That's way too far west. It's going to make landfall here in Louisiana. Then we're going to watch that tropical system possible off the Carolinas. And then we'll watch that big trough swing in from the northwestern side of the U.S. So we're going to go from one thing to the other thing, right back to the other thing. And this could be multi-day too. Notice how the trough hangs around there. See that? It hangs around. Like this one, it gets out of there fast. But the overall flow here is favorable for severe weather and maybe a few instances of significant severe weather. I don't think it will be that big of a tornado threat, though. I want to make that clear. When I say significant severe weather, I'm mainly talking about wind. Not tornadoes. I do want to see what the SPC says about this. Who knows? Maybe the SPC already is saying the potential for tornadoes out here. Let's go see what they say. Let's see. Ooh. This may yield an increase of low severe weather probabilities beyond day 8. So it's too far out for the SPC to highlight anything, but they are already mentioning the possibility for severe weather. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. They do also mention before the day 8 time frame, severe weather is expected to be quiet. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go back to recon here. Alright, they're already getting some data in. I want to keep an eye on this because I want to see if they update this. Catman, do you know what this is? Do you know how often this updates and what it is? Because I actually haven't seen it before. This is a whole nother side to hurricane recon data that I haven't seen. Yeah, there's a lot of data here. Holy crap. There's a lot of data here. So I wouldn't be too shocked. I'm going to pay very close attention to the SPC because they may actually mention highlighting a 15% risk for severe weather out there in the plains. It's going to depend on how that trough is shaped, so it's definitely something you want to watch closely. All right, but now I'm going to go full back into tropics here. Well, we're approaching the end of the stream, but instead of actually ending at 1 hour, I'm just going to extend it because I want to see what Recon has, and I want to keep watching this with you guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream. We're going to stay live longer to get the newest data in, and we will probably be live for the 8 o'clock advisory. Let's see here. Wow. Let's see. So we're going to continue to watch this recon as it goes into Tropical Storm Francine. Let me check this. I haven't showed you guys the ensembles. Why don't we look at that together? I was going to look at that by myself, but let's look at that together. We're not going to go too in-depth with the ensembles. I'll just show you guys this to show you and, you know, obviously tell you that it definitely shifted eastward here. Especially if you look at all of our models in one plot. We've got one pink outlier, which is something MI. Don't know what that is. Don't know what that model run is. Never heard of it. But most of our models have shifted east, if not on that bay. So we're going to continue to see if these models shift. The 00Z ensembles, I believe, get out. They'll probably be out near 9. Well, I know for sure we'll be live tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be live a long time, which is why I don't want to go. I don't want to go too long here. We'll definitely be seeing each other a lot tomorrow. Hopefully, I won't have to do that long of a live stream. But with the tornado threat, I imagine it's going to be quite a big stream tomorrow. Probably. I'm hoping if we can manage to, I'd love to delay the stream till 3, but we'll probably end up going live closer to like 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Thursday, I know we'll be live Thursday too. And then Friday, we'll just see about that. I'll try to get like a day break in. I'll try to get like a whole 1-day break in, and then after that we'll start talking about the tropical system possible along the Carolinas, as well as the severe weather. Which, I mean, right now the severe weather threat is looking pretty good. Like, if that actually played out, it would be a decent severe threat. Gracious day, I almost just got myself copyrighted. I love how Twitter auto-plays videos. Alright, let's go back over to, let's see. There's your intensity guidance, by the way, which pretty much all of our models have a mid-tier to maybe even upper echelon Cat 1. A good chunk take it to just high-end tropical storm. Personally, I personally don't think that we'll see a high-end tropical storm landfall. I think we'll see somewhere in a Category 1 status landfall. If worse comes to worse, the absolute worst case scenario is a low-end Cat 3, but that is nearly, keyword nearly, impossible at this point. It would have to get a well-defined eye fast and completely cut off that dry air. There would have to be some big changes within the next 5 hours at this point in order for us to see a major hurricane out of this. So I think that is extremely unlikely. I think we're looking at a mid to upper tier Category 1 landfall. It's still very much possible we see low in Cat 2 as well. But so long as that dry air continues to infiltrate the south and eastern portion, pretty much the whole western, southern, and eastern side of the storm, we're going to continue to have issues here. Is this an old scan, or is our eye back? Our eye is back. There's your eye. Your eye has returned on radar imagery here. So there you go. Your eye has returned. Let's go to recon data. Have we seen purple like that? I was looking at other data. Let's go back to this, because that's pretty strong wind speeds there. If I'm not mistaken, that's that just might be borderline hurricane force. I want to look at this. Yeah, so they got 70 knot wind speeds. However, this isn't all that accurate, so you want to take off, at least 5 to 10 miles per hour. So what? We could just say, like, NHC would probably do right around... I think that's credible enough to put it at 70 miles per hour. Because 65 knots to MPH, that is... 74. I don't think that would be enough to put it at hurricane status, in my opinion. But I think that may be credible enough to put it at 70 miles per hour sustained. What do you guys think? What do you think, Catman? Let's see. Times 0.5 rate. Oh, well, there you go. So right around 70 miles per hour. You think they'll do that at the next advisory? I wouldn't be too surprised. I would not be too surprised. Go back. Then again, I wouldn't be shocked if they just kept it a tropical storm either. Or 65 miles per hour. They'll either update it to 65 or 70. That'll either be the new update, 65 or 70. I'd be very surprised if they put it at hurricane force. Unless Recon can get something stronger here. I'm also interested to see the millibar. So that's down to 992. If I'm not mistaken, we're at 993. Oh, we're at 987. My bad. My bad. I still thought we were in the 990s somehow, even though I already read this advisory. So we're at 987. We'll see if we get lower than 987 on here. So there's still a few new things that we're going to have to wait for from Recon. That's why we're going to stay live longer here. Let's see. To see a low in Cat 3, it would have to pull a Hurricane Michael or Otis. Yeah, it's not that favorable of an environment. It is favorable, but we have dry air, and especially just before landfall, we'll have wind shear. So it's favorable, but it's not that favorable. It's not that type of favorable. But I do think there is a threat that we see quick intensification. Just not rapid. Let's go back over here. So we'll just continue to wait and see what our recon mission 10 has here. If it let me select it, there you go. Remove the shear dry air. It could have yeah, I think we are seeing some strengthening right now, some intensification right now. I just don't think it's going to be enough to be major. I don't think we're anywhere close to talking about a major hurricane being a possibility here. Like I said, you can't fully rule out those possibilities because it is the Gulf of Mexico, but I find it stubbornly unlikely. I would be blown away if we're dealing with anything more than a high-end Cat 1, to be honest with you. If we have landfall at anything greater than 95 miles per hour, I will be blown away. It's becoming less and less likely to see Cat 2. And like I said, personally, I think Cat 3 is nearly unreachable, which is why I'm surprised with the H-Wharf. The H-Wharf put out something crazy. Holy moly, that's wild. I just saw something on Twitter. I gotta text Lucky this. That is ridiculous. Yeah, it is strengthening. Francine's definitely strengthening. especially with those blobs of convection we're starting to see. However, that's what we were seeing. What was it? Not last night, the night before yesterday. We were seeing a lot of intensification, where it went from literally a or a potential tropical cyclone to a 60 mile an hour tropical storm in like 1 to 2 updates. And since then, it's really just stayed around that. I mean, we've really had barely any intensification since then. All right, there's more data for you. Ooh, ooh, look at that. That would be 980 right there. 979.5 millibar on recon. So that would be 980. So it is definitely strengthening somewhat. Go back over here. I'm really curious to see if they update this. I don't know when they would, if they do. Oh, wrong one. This one. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this. You can see 979.5. That rounds to 980. And I've always found that they go 1 millibar higher, at least 1 millibar higher than what Recon finds. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I'm sure there is that I'm just not aware of. I'm not an expert when it comes to hurricanes by any means. I know quite a bit, but I'm definitely no expert. My specialty is severe weather. It probably shows too. I'm definitely not the best at hurricanes and tropical storms. Let's go back to satellite. We'll wait for this to load and take its sweet time. Gracious day, what the heck is this? This has got to be in the Western Pacific. See, y'all, this is the type of tropical storms you get in the Western Pacific. This has to be in the Western Pacific, right? Let me go look at the JTWC. There's no way that's anywhere other than the Western Pacific. Yep. It is in the Western Pacific. Matter of fact, that is that's near Guam. Look at that. That's the tropical storms you see in the Western Pacific. Way, way, way better than the tropical storms we get here in the Atlantic, at least. And the Western Pacific's just different. Oh man, we do have a radar here, but it's been offline. I don't think we'll cover this much. It is expected to become a near major typhoon. Let's go back over here. Flop our radar there. There's our eye. Still have an eye. We still have an eye. Don't worry, that is in the Western Pacific. It's not that strong yet. Here's our little blob out in the southwestern Gulf. Look at how much this has struggled. It has struggled a lot. I do think this is near the best it's looked. The best it looked was before this, when it was right here. When it was right here, it was a nice blob of convection with a decent centralized low pressure. But now it's just a very sloppy system. And then, of course, the newest frame, it's getting there. We're starting to see some convection rounding the entire center. We're still definitely more lopsided, not the best. Still some dry air intrusion. But it's getting there. It is getting there. Yeah, so you can see their pressure. This is 975. I don't believe that, honestly. I don't think they'll put the millibar that low. Well, probably the new update at 8 o'clock, if I had to guess, they're probably going to do a millibar at like 978 with wind speeds of 70. I don't think they'll make it a hurricane yet. Unless Recon can get better data. Which, I mean, that's already pretty good data. That's not the worst, honestly. I wouldn't be too shocked if they actually ended up putting it at hurricane status with that data. I would not be too surprised. So, let me just go ahead and zoom this out. So if you guys are in the path of this, if you're in any of the colored areas, especially if you're in the dark blue into the red, make sure that you have rushed your preparations to completion. They should already be done. You should be done your preparations now. You've had plenty of time, plenty of warning, plenty of heads up from the National Hurricane Center and us here on the channel. At minimum, we gave a 3-day heads up. The National Hurricane Center gave a good 2 days heads up. So hopefully you are finished preparations out there. If you do live out out here, anywhere from southwestern Alabama through portions of southern Mississippi into a very large chunk of southeastern Louisiana into a whole one county of southeastern Texas. Only Beaumont and Port Arthur, Texas are now under those tropical storm warnings. We did have tropical storm watches. Let me just make sure that my software is not glitched here. I don't think it is. We did have tropical storm watches along this whole area, but I think they have canceled all of those now. They've just put coastal flood warnings in place of them. So we'll continue to keep a very close eye on the NHC, keep an eye on our current observations and recon. Refresh recon again. Mission 11 is going to be heading directly into it too at the same time at Mission 10. So we're going to get 2 recon in here. 2 recon in Francine at the same time. I'm curious to see if these millibars go down to like 975 because that's what this little divot here is. The flight level millibar here. Or the MSLP rather. Nope, flight level winds went all the way down to 975 millibar. So definitely more of a centralized low pressure, more of an eye starting to form now. That's very evident. You can see, you know, thunderstorms, 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 outer eye wall, and then your eye, and now they're going through the other side of your eye wall. So I imagine that's going to peak somewhere back up here. So there's definitely more convection, stronger convection around the low pressure, and then a more well-organized eye, which is visible from this radar imagery. So there you go. That's what I read wrong. Thank you, Weather. I knew I was reading something wrong. You do the red one for the millibar and the blue one for the not wind speeds. I knew I was reading something wrong here. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't think I've ever read recon data like that where I use the blue line for both. I just happen to do it. Like I said, I'm off today with tropics. I'm off today with tropics. So that makes a whole heck of a lot more sense because your MSLP goes to 980 and your wind speeds go, of course, all the way down to near 0 because they're in the eye. And then that will correspond with what Recon has found here. You can see that's 979.5, which if you round that up is 980. Don't know why I read it the other way. I apologize for that. I'm just off today. I should have gotten some caffeine or something in me before the live stream. My brain is not braining today, that's for sure. It's not working correctly. See if the Recon Mission 11's updated. I imagine they'll go through the eye as well. It's not the most well-formed eye. The majority of your wind speed and convection is probably going to be on the northeast side. Then you're going to see that low millibar right at the middle. And then we'll probably still have some winds on the southwest side, but it probably won't be nearly as much thanks to that dry air intrusion. Definitely not the most impressive. I personally don't think they'll be upgrading this to hurricane at 8 o'clock. Let's see here. We will just see what happens. We'll see what happens with the new NHC update at 8. They won't do a full advisory. The main thing they'll update is the just the pressure and the wind speeds. But they won't. I'm pretty sure they won't update like your cone and storm surge and everything like that. Yeah, you can see they've gone through the eye. Lowest millibar looks to have been a 979.5, which would round up to 980. That's still a pretty big drop now that I think of it. That means we've dropped around 7 millibars in what, 3 hours? Yeah. 7 millibar drop in 3 hours. So that's actually a pretty good phase of intensification there. However, I have a really good feeling that won't continue. I have a really good feeling we'll be at probably slightly halted at the overnight stages of this this intensification phase. I'm curious to see if Mission 11 is going to get the same data. We should be able to see Mission 11 go into this central low pressure, the eye as well. I mean, we have a whole 45 minutes left of the stream, so. Still some dry air issues. We're still getting dry air issues on that southwest side, but I think those will be worked out somewhat over the next couple of hours. We'll see though. I do have a feeling it's gonna go one or the other way. If that dry air does get worked out, we'll probably be looking at a low in Cat 2 landfall. If it doesn't, we'll most likely be looking at a high in Category 1 landfall. So it wouldn't change too much in the forecast if that dry air completely got out of there. 71 knots from recon, so that would actually be closer to 70 miles per hour. So we'll continue to just wait for our... Yeah, there you go. Mission 11 is going to go into that burst of convection. They're already going into it. They are already going into it. We'll most likely see a decent pressure and wind speed. Oh. Look at that. That's your Recon 11 there. That is a higher wind speed. That looks like I don't know exactly what that is. That looks like 75, 76. Probably 70, yeah, 75, 76 knots there. Which that would be hurricane force. I'm pretty sure that would be hurricane force. So that's probably going to be enough to warrant them to go low end Category 1. It's either going to be it's either going to be very close to, like, literally a couple miles per hour shy of a hurricane or a hurricane. With that information, I imagine they will put it to Category 1 status. Let's see here. Go ahead and go to satellite again. Looks like a pretty messy hurricane. You just got this one big blob. This perfect blob. Perfect blob right over the low pressure. You got your low. I think your low pressure is what, like here? Pretty sure it's somewhere right there. You know, we could compare it from satellite. Let's do that. So there's your eye. And if we take it to satellite imagery, and then you go to long wave. Yep. Your low pressure is right in the dead center of that big explosion of convection. So you've got your low here, your eye here. Very tiny eye, smaller than that. Most of your hurricane force wind speeds would be on the northeast side, and then your southwest side is really being impacted by dry air. So it's honestly relatively little precipitation in this whole area of currently tropical storm Francine. But I imagine with that new recon data, they're going to upgrade it to Hurricane Francine at the 8 o'clock advisory. I'm curious to see if they could get a lower millibar. So our lowest millibar is 980. 980. We'll see if Recon 11 can get something lower than that. You'll see this red line is going to go... It's going to go just like this. And then it will rise right back up quite quickly. So your wind speeds, in the eye, your wind speeds go all the way down like this. This wind speed chart, it's going to go all the way down to near, if not zero. That millibar pressure is going to go down as well. And then your millibar your millibar's down here. And then your wind speeds will go up as well. So you could tell when they get towards the eye wall. So this is just normal thunderstorms. And then it starts to climb. They get close to the eye wall. They're in the eye wall. And then you can see right here. You can see right there. It starts to divot down. Thanks to them going into the eye. To show you, for instance, this. This is Recon 10, which is our other recon that went through the eye. You see the pressure. They're on the eye wall, into the eye. On the in this case, the western eye wall here as they exit. Same goes for this. Entering the eastern eye wall, in the eastern eye wall, then in the eye, then leaving in the western eye wall. I find this recon data actually pretty fascinating. I like to look at recon data. That's probably the main thing I look at here. And our pressure is I don't know. That's not the right one, is it? Nope. Could tell from right off the gate. Still 980. Still 980. So we'll see if we can get a lower pressure than that or not. Now, they may do the advisory early. They may do the advisory early if Recon gets through this early, which it seems like they are. I didn't say you were crazy thinking it could go Cat 2. I mean, we're looking at anywhere between a 90 mile per hour to 100 mile per hour hurricane. 90 mile per hour, 95 mile per hour is Cat 1, 100 is Cat 2. I think it's still possible. I just think it's less likely. Even with this new recon data, I still think it's less. I still think it's not likely. Just waiting. It's the weight gain. Let's go to recon here. Recon 10. Not this. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't want to read all that. Gracious. So we'll keep waiting. This is old recon. Where is recon 11? Yeah. I didn't see a drop zone, actually. I'm sure they did one. I actually forgot about that. Can we view the drop zone here? Yeah, there's their drop zone. I think, is that your newest drop zone? 2243. Yeah. Wait. I mean, it was 40 minutes ago. It's 40 minutes ago. I like tropical tidbits better for recon, honestly. Well, that should update in literally a second. We should get an update there, because, this page updated. Hate how recon takes so long to update. It's a very, very painful, whole 10-minute wait. Yep, there you go, 980. 980 millibar. There you go. So there's your wind speeds. Yom flew all the way down. Your pressure flew all the way down, and they did find 980 as well. So I don't think they're going to get anything lower. And still don't see it here, but 980 seems to be the pressure. So they'll probably go with 980 millibar, 75 miles per hour at the new update. Your eye is still going along. And not the best eye. We'll see if it can get more well-defined or if dry air is going to completely demolish it. All right. Yeah, definitely not the best eye. But it is an eye. It is an eye that randomly formed. Not really randomly, but just kind of, honestly, in my opinion, came out of nowhere. I mean, you could see it on radar here. You could see the eye still, and then boom, it just opened up pretty quickly. It really did just kind of come out of nowhere there with that new burst of convection at 6:14. It was fully closed, and then 1 hour later, 7:14 right here, really fully open. 980 is not rapid intensification. Now, if it kept dropping by 7 millibars every 3 hours, that would probably end up being rapid intensification. If it kept dropping 7 millibars, it would be. Can you imagine that? 7 millibars every 3 hours? Gracious. That would, if that math actually applied, it would be a major hurricane if we kept on with that track of 7 millibars every 3 hours. But I don't think that's going to happen. There's no way we keep with steady intensification. It's going to be more, 3 hours. Now it dropped 7 millibars. 3 hours from now, it's probably going to drop, 2, 3. Next hour drops 1. Next hour drops 2. It's going to be a little all over the place. There you go. That's why I was flipping between the two. They definitely got lower there. Look at that. 987. Or not lower. I meant to say higher. because they got 987 up here. And then look at that. They literally missed the eye. You can see it. They're like, okay, we're going this way. Oh, shoot. The low pressure's down here. They literally changed their course just last second. You can see that on recon too. Shoot, we're going to miss it. They went down right here. They just... So, not really too much of a change here. 980 on the dot. 980 on the dot. If you go back here. Oh man, we can't. I was gonna compare and tell you guys and say what I was talking about between why I mentioned this being 987 and that. Gracious. If I end up staying up for the 11 o'clock advisory, I'm gonna have to get something in me here. Should I be concerned about taking shelter in Collins, Mississippi? If so, what is the timing? I don't think you'll need to take shelter, but I do think you just don't want to go outside. You're in tropical storm watches. Your tornado threat will be very isolated overnight tomorrow night. And the timing for the worst impacts will most likely be, it's going to vary. It's going to vary for sure. But your worst impacts will likely be starting very late tomorrow evening, right around 6, 7 p.m. And then overnight completely tomorrow into the next morning. Into Friday morning. Or rather, Thursday morning. So 6 p.m. on Wednesday evening all the way to probably 6 a.m. Thursday morning. Let's see here. You're welcome. I'm very happy to check for sure. Especially considering I can't put sentences together today. So we'll wait for the NHC update here. I imagine it's going to come out early. And there it is. Hurricane Francine. I'm going to ring up Lucky. Ring-a-ling-a-ling. It's a hurricane, officially.
Yep, I just saw that and just said that.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I would say it's a little early because they had it being a hurricane at the 2 a.m. advisory.
I mean, not really. Earlier today, they had it being at the 8 p.m. They just changed it. What millibar did they go with? 982.
982. Yeah, I just said that.
I'm a little surprised. I thought maybe they dropped that down on 980, but I don't know. Most of the time, the NHC does go up by a millibar or two of what Recon can find there.
Yeah. Now I'm just waiting for the cone.
We don't get one, buddy.
We don't.
No, it's an intermediate advisory.
So we're not gonna get one at 8 p.m.
No, we get one at 11.
Lame. That's so lame, bro. I'm not waiting that long. I'll be asleep.
I probably won't be asleep. Oh no.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't know. It depends. I can't put words together today.
Bro, me neither. I call the GFS the golf model.
Well, okay. I'm not that bad, y'all. I'm not that bad. I did call Francine Debbie, but I'm not calling the GFS the golf model.
Bro, I literally said that's the golf model. I mean,
that's the golf model. Dude.
Oh, TRG. I want you to go with tropical tidbits right now, right?
Oh, they did put a cone out.
They did?
I'm mistaken. There's your cone.
I'm about to say, there's no way they do it at 11, bro. There's no way. Did they?
Yeah, they did it. Lucky they did it because of the position update.
Do you have it? I don't have it.
Yeah.
All right, where?
Um.
NHC?
No, the freaking underground website.
I mean, I
Yes,
don't
the
know. I
National
don't
Hurricane
see
Center.
it.
What do you mean you don't see it? It's pretty freaking easy to find a cone.
All right, well, mine's still 65
65 for what?
miles per hour.
Refresh.
Buddy, what do you think I've been doing?
Mine has said 75 for a long time, ever since it came out. It's mine said it for the last 4 minutes.
Hey, how about can you open up my stream just so you know you can give me that luck so that you can say like I'm gonna prove you wrong and watch it. You know, tell me when you have it open so I can refresh it. Because
I don't
bro,
think they changed the intensity in terms of forecast. They're still forecasting 90 landfall. I don't think it'd squeeze out an extra 5 on that. So landfall is probably going to be, according to the NHC, it'd be probably about 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, which is a daytime landfall for once.
found it. I literally click here for experimental cone for the new experimental cone, and it already has 75. But at the same time, I want the regular cone. I know experimental.
Apparently, Lily doesn't know who you are. Lucky, introduce yourself.
Oh, hello, y'all. My name is Lucky. If you don't know me already, I am a Charity's best friend, aka what Pete said, co-owner Lucky. That's my name. Uh, yeah, I'm here sometimes. It depends on the day and what I'm doing. Uh, yeah, like I said, and my best friend TRG.
And Lucky likes to sleep in hailstorms.
I love to sleep in hailstorms, and I love to go outside and I don't know. What do I like to do? I don't know.
Sleep in hailstorms is your thing.
Oh, and everyone thinks I eat a lot. That's something you should know about me. So, yes, welcome to the stream.
He's
Bro.
also really rich.
No, I'm not.
We make fun of him a lot, y'all.
Yes, and
if
they
you
make
ain't
fun
been
of me.
here before, we make fun of Lucky a lot for a lot of things. Yeah, there's your new cone too from Radar Omega, or at least your new track there.
If it's on Red or Omega, there's no way I don't get it right.
I mean, Radar Omega is normally almost 10 minutes behind.
I still don't have it. Oh wait, let me just do this. NHC. All right, we're gonna go right here.
Yeah,
Francine.
Tampa has a risk for very isolated flash
It
flooding.
works now. Sorry.
Very isolated flash flooding tomorrow night. You're in a level 1 out of 4 for flooding. Marginal risk. Well, there's your update. I thought it'd be out early, but man, I didn't know it'd be out that early.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty early, bro. I could end now if I wanted to. I could end.
I'm gonna end at 8.
Well, then it's either I end in 7 minutes or go till 8:15. I don't know what the point of going to 8:15 if we already have the update.
Well, I've really went over everything and screwed up half the words in the stream.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully, I'm more awake tomorrow because it won't be a normally, I'm not this tired at 6 o'clock. It's not like I've done a bunch today.
Bro, Landfall's tomorrow night, isn't it?
I just told you when landfall would be according to the NHC. I just told you.
Stop lying.
3 minutes ago?
Nope.
3 minutes ago.
No, you did not.
I did. I did.
Just answer the question. Just answer the question. Just answer the question.
I said 3 or 4 p.m.
Tomorrow?
No, freaking Saturday, Lucky.
Oh, dang.
Yes, tomorrow.
I
yes,
tomorrow. That much.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't be able to cover it. I have a school until 4 o'clock. So, and I got work until 10. Yeah, so yeah. Give me 1 second though.
Good night. I don't think they changed any probabilities on the other two systems. Yeah, 92L is flopping big time. The eastern system is starting to become more likely to form into a tropical storm, which is west of Cape Verde. I don't think they changed much with like the cone and the storm surge and anything else. I'm pretty sure the only change was, well, a 10-mile-per-hour jump to Category 1 status. Which I can't say I am surprised.
It's horrible timing for me to say this after what I just introduced myself. I'm gonna go eat in 5 minutes because my dinner's ready. So I'm gonna end in 5 minutes.
Wow, that is
Dude, that's so dude. No, because I don't even know it's gonna be ready in 5 minutes. I'm gonna be honest with you.
that is wild, Joel. That is crazy.
That's crazy. I'm about to get played in your comment in your live chat. Everyone's be like, Lucky, of course. Yep, there we go. Alright. But yeah, so well in that case I gotta end in the next minute.
Well, here's another reason to end.
Oh yeah, I already know exactly what you're about to say. Oh. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Yup, chat. I'm gonna go. At least mine. I might eat upstairs and come back. We'll see.
Well,
But
try to be back before 8:30. Think you can do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh no, last time you went to Walmart on me.
Bro, no, that was
Alright, good night. Dude, that cut out. Well, thanks for joining, Lucky. Hopefully, maybe. No, you definitely won't stream tomorrow.
I can't. I'll be at work until 10.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe you could do a stream at like 10:30 or 11.
I'll be way too tired, bro.
Yeah, at that point you're exhausted.
I'm gonna be exhausted.
There is an almost all day tornado threat tomorrow.
Dang.
So maybe stream. What's the day after tomorrow? Thursday.
Wait. Okay, I gotta go.
Okay. Good night. Bye.
Good night. Say bye to my stream. You know.
Bye.
Okay.
Hold on, y'all. I gotta do a quack noise for his stream. I gotta do something there. Alrighty. Well, there's not much more to talk about. We've really went over everything, so we'll just keep an eye on the radar for the last few scans here, and that's really it. I mean, that's about it. We really talked about everything. We went over the NHC. The new cone they didn't change anything, to be honest with you. Still ooh, yeah, see, they don't have it strengthening at all within the next near 6 hours or so. So most of our intensification should be very early, between like 6 a.m. tomorrow all the way to until near landfall. So 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. is really our main window for intensification to see if this thing could actually get to Cat 2 or not. So make sure you finish preparations. If you guys are in the path, make sure you have finished preparations. And if you haven't, rush them to completion immediately. They should have already been done. And keep an eye on the forecast. Stay safe out there. And yeah, we'll just wait. Now we just got to sit here for 16 minutes until we approach the ending time. Oh, you know what? I bet we could go back towards Recon. Let's see if Recon got anything else. See if Recon has anything else in here. Let me close out the new NHC advisory. I have a lot of tabs open for that now. And let me go over to the Recon. Duh. All right. Another thing I want to check. Did they do any of those Recon data? I don't even know where I am on this page. Oh, okay. I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. There we go. Okay, they didn't. Not yet, at least. We did get drop zone data, so those should come in on tropical tidbits shortly. And the hurricane hunters are going back in the eye here. Recon 10 is going right back through the eye. 981.7. I don't think it's gonna drop any. I'd be shocked if they find anything lower than 1 millibar lower. That'd be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. That's probably why they went with 982. Because you could see that right beneath the second screen above my face cam. I'll circle it right here. 981.7. They rounded that up to 982. I don't expect anything for you, no, Michael. Maybe some isolated flash flooding, but nothing big. Most of the impacts will stay very well off to your west and southwest. So we'll see what this Recon 10 has, and this will probably be the last Recon data we look at. Then we may start wrapping up there. Do you think Florida could get another hurricane before the season is over? It's possible, but I don't think it's something we can really call out this far out. I mean, it's always a possibility, but there's no things that are pointing towards Florida having a landfall anytime soon. Everybody who normally sees, everyone who normally sees hurricanes in a hurricane season still needs to watch the tropics until hurricane season is over and done. So, yeah, main thing I'm going to do tonight is just keep an eye on the satellite imagery, and I'll probably stay up for the National Hurricane Center advisory. Top strength that I think the max sustained winds is 95 miles per hour. I think that's as strong as we're going to get here. Now, the NHC is calling for 90. I think it could be up to 95 miles per hour, and it's going to be anywhere between 85 to 100 mile per hour sustained wind speeds. So it could get as high as 100 mile an hour sustained wind speeds, which is a Cat 2, or it could be as low as 85 miles per hour, which means it would barely strengthen over the next 24 hours that it has left. Which actually, it doesn't even have 24 hours left anymore. Landfall will be about 4 o'clock, so we're probably about 21 hours away from landfall. And the last almost 6 hours will be unfavorable for intensification. And the next 3 hours, I don't think we're going to see much intensification. So there's really just a small window between like this point here and this point here where this thing could intensify anywhere from 10 to 25 miles per hour. Which, if it does strengthen by 25 miles per hour, that still wouldn't be rapid intensification. Legacy, yeah, you could also see some isolated flash flooding out there, yeah. Probably Thursday. But the main threats, definitely going to be this area here for sure. And then your main tornado threat definitely will be right along that coastal area here. Your main flash flooding threat is going to be right in the middle, generally right here. That's going to be where your main flooding threat will be. And then, of course, your main storm surge threat, that's going to be along the whole Gulf coastline here. The primary storm surge is going to be on the pretty much right where this makes landfall, between this point here. Generally, this point here and generally this point here could see upwards of 10-foot storm surge. Do you think Friday will carry over a 2% tornado risk in the lower Ohio Valley? I do not. No, I don't. I don't think we'll see much of a tornado threat past probably tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, my bad, Thursday. Tomorrow, nearly all day tomorrow is going to be a decent tornado threat, especially as we go into the late evening, early night hours. And then Thursday looks decent for a tornado threat, but definitely not as high as tomorrow. I think both of those will be fish storms, and I do think we'll end up with Gordon probably out of this AOI here as that moves up to the northwest. Then again, this had a really good chance of forming, and then it just completely downtrended. But eventually, like I said in my video a while ago, these two just... I did call that out. I did say they're probably going to flip-flop between the two. So those are going to continue to flip-flop before one of them eventually becomes a tropical storm. Why do they have that? 2 days 30%, 7 days 30%? One's orange and one is actually yellow. Weird. In Iowa, is there anything coming up like snowstorms, blizzard, or any thunderstorms? Definitely not any blizzards or snowstorms anytime soon. You're going to have to wait at least another 2 months for any of that. But thunderstorms, yes, I would be monitoring the potential for severe weather as we go into probably right around the realms of, now this time could vary, but for Iowa, we're looking anywhere between September 16th to September 18th for the potential of severe weather. I would watch that. At the moment, it looks like the most likely day is September 17th, but we'll just continue to monitor that. I will have nearly daily updates, but at some point I will have one day off. I just don't know when I'm taking that. Like I said, we'll be live, of course, probably for, I don't know how many hours, but I'm going to aim for probably 3-4 hours tomorrow. And we'll be live Thursday, Friday, I don't know. And then after that, I have no idea. I can't give you any specifics because the severe threat's too far out. But yeah, Des Moines could see some isolated severe weather about a week from today. I don't want to give it much specifics because it's a big question mark. We're watching all the way from North Dakota to Texas, all the way east as far as central eastern Iowa for the potential of severe weather. This whole area here. There's a big trough that's going to swing in, and it could cause severe weather generally in this area. But somebody in here is going to have a much better chance for severe weather. It's just going to be a waiting game until we get closer to figure out exactly who's going to be able to get that highest chance for severe weather. That's crazy, Legacy. If they're not in like Louisiana, this area here, any school closings out of this area, outside of this area I just drew, would be pretty crazy. Because I could see schools closing for tropical storm watches, warnings, hurricane watches, warnings, storm surge watches or warnings. Yeah, I could definitely see that closing schools. But if you're more east than that, into like, Tennessee or northern Mississippi or northern Alabama, I'd be very shocked if we have school closings up there. I'd be very surprised. But yeah, that was a pretty quick 10 minutes there. Gracious. Someone got me talking about severe weather in Iowa, and that made the 10 minutes go by quite quickly. Thank you for that. I thought I was just going to be sitting in dead silence the whole time. So yeah, we are about to wrap up. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Like goal for this stream is 50 likes. And share the channel with your family, friends, social media. Hit the subscribe button with the notification bell set to all because we will be live tomorrow. Caleb just got home. Just got home as I'm starting to close out here. Yeah, just 2-hour stream today. I almost ended before, but I decided to stay till the NHC advisory, and that came out early, so... Well, I'm sorry, Caleb, there's not much more to talk about. You can always rewatch this 2-hour live stream, or if you're really bored, go watch one of my, my 16-hour live stream. There's a lot of hours of live streams you can watch on the channel if you're bored. Given all of them are not that entertaining. But yeah, it is a hurricane now, Caleb. They did upgrade it to a hurricane, millibar 982. Sustained wind speeds of 75 miles per hour at the 8 o'clock advisory. Yes, it is a Category 1 hurricane. For instance, he's in Mississippi. That makes sense, yeah. Probably southern Mississippi, somewhere in Jackson or to the south. I don't think the NHC will forecast Category 2 unless we have some major changes overnight. But like I said, the intensity is going to vary anywhere between 80 mile per hour wind sustained, or 85 rather, 85 to 100 mile per hour sustained. It's just going to be a monitoring game to see how high up we can climb on that scale. Currently, the NHC is almost dead in the middle, forecasting 90. So I think landfall will be anywhere between 85 mile an hour wind sustained and 100. So I wouldn't fully rule out a Cat 2. It's just not likely, and I'm not expecting it, but it's still a possibility. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and call the stream quits. I appreciate y'all tuning in for this briefing. We reached over 1,000 people with the word of this now hurricane, Francine. And I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. We've reached probably a little over 6,000 people with the word of this storm over the last 5 days or so. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll see you guys sometime tomorrow afternoon. Sometime after 12 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live for the landfall of this Hurricane Francine. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you rush those preparations. Hopefully you've already finished those preparations if you are inside the tropical storm warnings in blue, tropical storm warnings in blue, storm surge warnings, and hurricane warnings in the red there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you, mods, for mod chat, Lucky, Legacy, Caleb, Pete, Catman, and Parliament. Thank you guys for modding chat. Hopefully I got everybody who modded chat there. And anyways, I will see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Have a fantastic rest of your night. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, goodbye. stay safe, watch severe weather and the tropics, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Thank you, Mods for Mod and Chat. Have a great rest of your night. Good.